and I just taught my first class today. Yay! Hello, my name is Teacher Stephanie, and I just taught my first class today. Yay! Actually, I taught my first 2 classes today, and luckily they were spaced out, so I had some time to in between each class and get ready for the next one. So I just wanted to talk about basically how I prepared, how I got myself mentally ready, how it went, things like that, because if you're anything like me, last night I was checking on YouTube, VIPKID first class tips, that kind of thing. And if you're anything like me, that's why you're here, because you have your first class coming up and you're nervous. The main reason I was nervous is because of technology. You know, I've been on the Facebook groups, I've been watching different YouTube videos, and my biggest concern was not having backup internet, not having a backup computer in case the computer crashes, not having backup power, stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time in the last week or 2 researching these things and getting my ducks in a row. But last night I really had to run through the process and make sure all of my backup stuff was ready so that I could sleep last night without having nightmares about my tech crashing on me. And so I was up very, very late. I think I got 2 hours of sleep last night, which is terrible, but I'm sure that this will all become much more seamless as I go. So I wanted to kind of tell you what I did. So yesterday, what I did is I spent time going through the slides. I wrote down on a sheet of paper, here's slide 1, what I'm gonna say. I literally wrote my introduction, my name is Teacher Stephanie. What is your name? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. Just because, I just needed to see it written down in case I froze and needed to look. I'm sure I won't always do that. Number 2, what needs to happen on the slide. Number 3, what needs to happen on the slide, etc. And as you all know by now, some of the slides we can be flexible with, and others we really have to make sure that they're meeting specifically the objective. So I was pretty careful about that. And I had this kind of pinned to the side of my computer so I could quickly glance to it. I also put stars by every 5 slides to remind myself to give a star and to give my reward, which for my second class today was these flowers. And I was able to extend by asking what color the flowers were, and she actually thought the yellow was blue, so that worked out a good extension. So I got those ducks in a row with my 2 classes. I had my paper, my rewards put together. I had some basic props to the side. I had some props gathered to the side of my computer for each class. I didn't use every single one of them, but I did use most of them. I also wrote next to the slide which prop to use, when to use my whiteboard, stuff like that. And again, probably overkill, but I didn't know how many moving parts there were going to be with technology and figuring things out, and what if somebody's camera freezes, and what if this happens and that happens. So I just wanted to make sure all those ducks were in a row so I could focus on just all the other things, all the other moving parts. And things did go pretty seamless. The second class, I mistakenly left my Logitech device on mute. So I was talking to the girl, and finally she said, "I can't hear you." I was like, oh, thank God she was able to say that. And she told me that, pretty quickly. So I unmuted myself. So I need to get used to these routines. So last night, the way I got my technology sort of organized is I made myself a before class checklist, everything I need to check before class. And some of these I checked the night before, other things I checked this morning. So I'll just read them to you. The first thing I did last night was I closed everything down and rebooted my computer. I did want to clear my cache and cookies and stuff through Google Chrome. I just didn't get around to it, but I have done it somewhat recently, so I wasn't too worried about that. I also rebooted my Wi-Fi. I normally unplug my Wi-Fi every night anyway, just so that we're not being bombarded with EMFs. It's just my thing, so that's fine. I also plugged in my Ethernet cord to my computer from the Wi-Fi. I set 2 alarms because I don't trust the iPhone to wake me up. I turned on my orange lights. I checked my audio and video in the classroom, checked my mouse, make sure my mouse was working. I plugged in my iPhone because I wanted my iPhone to be right here and ready in case I needed to contact the fireman, in case something was going on with my computer. And I charged and access to my backup computer. My backup computer is a computer that my son sort of uses for Fortnite. It's right in the next room, so easy for me to grab. But I actually didn't know the password to get into the computer. So yesterday I had to practice getting in. I had to find the password, make sure it was charged, all of that was set. Oh, and I practiced my hotspot. And that took a little finagling. It wasn't working at first, and I figured out the problem, and I got that working. And actually, my hotspot is faster than my regular internet, so that's good to know for the future. And then I wrote a little after-class checklist. 1 is to write the feedback. 2 is to turn off my lights, which I haven't done yet. 3 is to unplug my Ethernet, because it's kind of strung across my bedroom and I don't want anybody to trip. So I need to unplug that and put that back. And then check my next day's schedule, which I've already done, and I'm not booked for tomorrow, which is good because honestly, I feel like I don't know, maybe more physically drained than anything, just having stayed up so late last night to get all my ducks in a row. I spent all weekend like perfecting my classroom so that everything was where it was, checking my dry erase markers, all those little things, right? And I feel so tired. I had so much fun with the kids. Luckily, I had 2 great kids for my first kids. They weren't like extremely interactive, but they were interactive enough that I could do the lesson, and they were learning, and they were practicing their pronunciation and getting better each time we practiced certain words. In my first lesson, I felt like I could have been a little more expressive. I think I had, my brain was going a lot, like, what do I do next? What has to happen next? I also ran out of time, big time. And I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this. I went over to like 35 minutes, and we're supposed to end at 25. And I think it was 35. It was definitely after 30. And luckily I didn't have another class scheduled. So when you open your first bookings, I highly recommend you do not schedule back-to-back. Actually, my classes this morning were an hour and a half apart, which I am so grateful for, because there's just so much to do your first day and understand and know what to do. And it really was great that happened that way. What else? So some things I felt like I could have been a little more expressive. I think I did better in the second one, although I had to catch myself a couple times getting dull, and I had to the second one was a lesson 3, so it was more just kind of a lot of academics, and there wasn't as much opportunity to get silly and pull out the puppet, although I did at one point. I pulled out my Mickey and pretended like I was puffing smoke in his face, and he was coughing, because we were doing the past tense of puff, which is puffed. And I did use my microphone to get them talking and singing and things. So, I definitely, and I extended a little bit. I feel like I could probably do more in the future, but like we did ball, there was a slide about the ball going to bringing the ball to the park. And I told her, I extended it and said, I brought this ball to the beach, because it's a little beach ball. So cute. I don't even know where I got it. And I said, do you like the beach? And she said, yes. And I said, I do too. And, we talked about the beach. So that was good. Those were some good things. I probably could have done more like with Meg and Mike, definitely. She definitely knew the characters, the second girl. Maybe should have pulled this out a couple times, like draw a circle, just to have a prop in my hand to make it more interesting. The whiteboard, the first time I used the whiteboard, my marker went dry after I wrote one word. So I just scratched that whole thing. And on the next one, I used a marker that worked. I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else to mention right now. If you are looking to start your first class, I got booked pretty much right away because I opened slots this past Sunday, and today's Monday. I got booked 2 kids on my second day of open slots. And I definitely had a very expressive intro video. I have a lot of experience with editing. I'm not a professional editor by any means, but I made it very fast, and I changed the shots, every few seconds, and I made it interesting and fast moving. I had my kids sitting here at one point going like this, saying hello. So I wish I had brought my bearded dragon in, that probably would have made it more interesting. But, you know, I made it as fast and interesting as I could. I talked about how I live in Florida, and so does Mickey and stuff. So I think that was good. My pictures are pretty good. I had one professional photo from my other business. And I don't know why I got booked so quick. You know, I really don't. I was wondering, and this might be like really out there, but I was wondering if it was because I booked my slots like every hour. You know, I didn't book anything back to back. And I actually didn't open a lot because my other business is very busy right now, and I didn't want to like get bombarded with something that I'm not familiar with. I wanted to really ease my way into this. So I don't have a lot of bookings open for this week. I have a few days open, but only like a couple, 2 to 3 each day. And I don't know if it's because, you know, my bookings are scattered through the week. So maybe when they're looking at my schedule, they see that I don't have a lot of availability. So maybe they think I'm booked up. I don't know. I know that's something that, you know, in business, they sort of teach you to do to kind of make it look like you're busy, so that, you know, you look like your business is going and you know what you're doing and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's probably my intro video, you know, because I put about 8 hours of work into it, you know, between the makeup and the hair and the props and getting my kids involved in the editing. And then I had to like cut it down because it was too long. It was literally like an 8-hour process. And that's a lot of work. And maybe that's the work that has paid off. So that's something to think about if you haven't gotten any bookings yet. And that's about it. I kept water next to me, which I didn't need, but I did drink in between. I kept some tea. I kept a picture of my son just so I didn't feel like I was all alone. This is actually my son like 7 years ago. He's 14 now, and this is him when he was, I don't know, 8. I found it the other day and I just grabbed it. I can use it as a prop for a boy or something. It's laminated. So that's about it. If you're interested in joining VIPKID, if you're not a member or a teacher yet, you can use my referral link below, and you can contact me by my email address and let me know if you need help getting hired. And if you use my referral link, I can guide you through the process. Go ahead and comment below how your first day went. I'm really curious to know. And if any of these tips have helped you get prepared for your first day. Bye-bye.